Hey guys, hope you're well. Today we're going to be having some fun. We're going to be soldering. Okay, let's get going. So today we're looking at soldering. In some of the previous videos we've looked at how to prepare your pipe, so how to cut it with a pipe slice. We've looked at how to prepare the pipe using the wire wool, so take it from a dull end to a nice shiny end. We've looked at reaming the inside of the pipe to get rid of that burr. Last video we looked at types of fitting you can use when you're soldering. So we looked at the end feed fitting where you add the solder to it, and we also looked at the Yorkshire fitting where the solder's already inside it. So today we're going to look at how to actually solder up an end feed fitting. Let's go. So before we actually make a start soldering, we're going to have a quick look at what we're going to need today. And if you actually think about the plumber when he's in your house, he's constantly in, out, going to the van, getting something that he needs. So there is quite a bit of stuff you're going to need for today. So we'll quickly go through what you're going to need. So you're probably going to need most of the things that are on here. Some of it's a health and safety thing. So I advise you strongly get yourself a fire extinguisher. You will also need some safety glasses. That's the health and safety side of things. You will probably need some things to stop the flame on the torch burning the wall behind you. So these are supposed to be flame retardant mats, and as you can see they're full of burn holes where they've gone on fire, so they're clearly not flame retardant. That one was a cheaper one and that was even worse, but I've come across this, the concrete board, I can't think of what, Hardy backer board. So these are fantastic, flame retarded, stick it behind whatever you're soldering and it doesn't damage the wall behind. That's perfect. Right, first thing you're going to need is a soldering torch. When I first started out, I bought this little cheap thing. I couldn't see the difference between an expensive one and a cheap one, but there are differences. So first one, lighting it. So this one you have to turn the gas on. You have to get a lighter. And you can never find one that bloody works. Right, we got it. So, what's the problem with that? I found out very quickly what the problem with that is. As soon as you want to start going under a floorboard, this huge flame comes out of nowhere. So basically the valve lets out too much gas and you just get this huge flame, which when you're under a lovely dry floorboard, that's not a good place to be. So I had to then flash out and I bought the Rothenberger Super Fire 2. So this is perfect. So it's got an ignition button on it. Button there you hold and that's it done. You can then adjust the flame up and down. So that's the first thing you're going to need. The two I've got here, this is a butane propane mix. And this is MAP gas. MAP gas actually burns slightly hotter than the propane butane mix, so it won't take as long to get your pipe up to where you need it ready to solder. So that's the first thing you're going to need. Second thing you're going to need is some flux. I used Laco in college and it's what I've stuck with ever since. It's got a brush inside it. But the problem is once you start getting to the bottom, it's quite hard to get out. So you may want a flux brush. So it's handy to get down in the bottom, but it's also handier to sort of get around the pipes and fittings you need. You're then going to need some solder. Now there's two types of solder out there. There's leaded solder and there's unleaded solder. Leaded solder generally is used on gas. Lead-free solder is used on your potable water where you're going to be drinking it, so you cannot contaminate your potable water with the lead. So I think the leaded solder is a lot cheaper than the unleaded solder, or the lead-free solder, whichever you want to call it. It's going to be, isn't it? It's the way the world works. And it's probably a lot harder to find as well, just because you can't mix the two up. So just double check that it does say lead-free solder on it. You're going to need some wire wool. You're going to need a reaming tool. And then you're going to need some pipe and some fittings. So you're also going to need a damp, wet cloth like this one, just a rag. Don't know if you can quite see that, but there are two flames There's an inner flame and an outer flame. You need to be holding the tip of the inner flame, which is the hottest part of the flame, on the fitting. So just to demonstrate that flame, I've lit the cheaper flame, and as you can see, you can definitely see that smaller flame and then the larger flame outside. So the tip of the inner flame is what you want to be aiming to use. Okay, so I'm aware today you may have just gone into YouTube and typed in how to solder pipes, so you may not have seen some of the previous videos. So very quickly, we need to take our copper pipe from looking dull like that to making it nice and shiny like that. You do that with wire wool. So you get your copper pipe, wrap your wire wool around it, give it good 5, 6, 7 turns. You then have shiny pipe like that. So that we have that. You need to take your copper fitting, and you need to clean the inside of that as well. So get your wire wool, kind of put it into like a shape that's going to fit in that. I don't know what the hell you'd call that. Give that a few turns, and the same on that one as well. You can buy fancy little tools like this thing. You stick it in there, do a turn around. Next, you're going to need your flux. Right, so what we need is get a bit of flux on the end of your brush, like so, and you just want to put it all the way around. A couple of turns like that. Get your fitting, push your fitting all the way on. Get your second bit of pipe, do the same. A good friend of mine who's just recently died, he was telling me that he soldered pipe and he never knew you needed to add flux to it. How he managed to solder, I don't know, but he did, so push that in there. Right, a lot of you think we might be ready to go, but no, we're not. What you need to do is wipe off all that excess flux. Basically, the role of the flux is to act as a magnet. So as you heat it up, it's going to pull the solder into the fitting using capillary action. Don't ask me to explain that, but basically, from what I understand of capillary action, it just, that one touches that one, which touches the next one, so it just pulls it in. So it's all cleaned up now, and we're ready to go. If you didn't clean all that excess flux off, what's going to happen? It's going to run down there, and it's going to make your solder follow the flux, and you'll end up with a big horrible mess like that. See, it's just run down. Glasses on. Get your solder, pull out a length and bend the end over. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some heat to the top of this pipe here and down to that one. What I'm going to do, once I think it's hot enough, I'm going to start touching that round the back. Probably won't go, and then once it's ready, you'll see the end of the solder starts to disappear and you'll see a silver line run all the way around. That's how you know when the solder's gone. Right, so we've got the glasses on, got the fire extinguisher close by, we've got our wet rag, we've got the pipe, the fitting, all fluxed up. Let's start going. You don't want your flame mental, turn it down to a nice controllable flame. And just slowly start working the heat up and down. You'll see the flux start to bubble a little bit. I was always told, take your flame away. I see some people, they leave the flame there. There's no right or wrong answer, it's how you were taught. So take it away. There we go. Start to run around. Just keep the flame just above it. Okay. Just sucks in. Let's do this bottom one. You won't have to heat the bottom one as long because it's had the heat on it gone down. And that is it. You then get this wet rag, give it a few seconds because the solder probably is still a little bit molten. Just hold it on and you. Also important is you have to then clean off the joint. It's not the prettiest of soldering. I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I was talking to you guys more. Give it a good clean off. The reason you clean it off is to get the excess flux off the pipework, because if you don't, it will start to corrode all the pipework. Once you've finished, get your wire wool, give it a bit of a polish. A huge snot on the bottom, but to get that off, excess extra heat, I'll just pop off. There you go, that technically is soldering. So if we take a close look, see that little gap, you can see the solder. It's pretty much gone all the way around. So what we're going to do is just going to cut this joint open just to show you what's happened inside. Right, so that's the fitting cut out, and as you can see, the solder went all the way around. So you know that that's not going to leak. So it's when I was learning to solder, first of all, I learned to sort of do it horizontally. Then you go soldering the top of the fitting, and then eventually you then learn how to solder up. It's relatively easy. It's the capillary reaction from the flux that's doing most of the work. It's not you. So let's have a look at doing a coupler. So we've already cleaned the pipe and the fitting. Let's get in the vise. So it's exactly the same again. A little bit of flux on your brush. Paint it all the way around the pipe. Pop your fitting on. Get a bit more on the bit of pipe. Just to show you, it has gone all the way around. Pop it in the pipe. Wipe off that excess. Rag, clean it off. Glasses on. Solder with your little hook on it. So we're going to start around the back, we're going to pull it over the front. Right, managed to get the camera a bit lower this time, so let's go again. So, flame on, turn it down, apply the heat. You start to hear it bubbling a little bit. That's a sign it's getting ready. Take the heat away and just touch it. Not ready yet, a bit more heat. Okay, take it away again. Yeah, it's starting to go. And underneath as well. There we go. Over to the other side. There we go. A few seconds. Pretty cold right on it. A bit of a clean up. I've seen a lot of people just giving it a coat afterwards with the flux, cleaned it up. Purpose of the flux is A, to act as the capillary action, but it also cleans the pipe as well. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean you don't have to clean your pipe, but it does clean it a little bit. And there you go. There's two schools of thoughts when it comes to plumbing. There's a lot of guys out there on Instagram now who like to have their soldering joints where you can't see any solder at all. Hats off to them, that's fantastic. But for me, I want to see my solder and I know it's done, and I know it's not going to leak if you can see it. So that's quite a neat one around there. Bottom one had a bit of a mess there, but yeah. I mean, if it's going under the floor, it doesn't matter. So we're going to have a quick go now at soldering an equal 15mm T. So 300 pipe we've cleaned up. Let's get them fluxed up. Glasses on. Remember to get that hook around the back. So we're going to start this side, do the top, then do the right. Wipe away the excess flux. wet rag. Then get your wire wool, give it a quick clean. And there you go. So that's how I go about soldering. Key tips to remember. Remember, clean your pipe with your wire wool, get it shiny. Deburr the inside of your pipe, get rid of that edge that's created when you cut your pipe. Flex your pipe up with your flex brush. Get your fitting, make sure your fitting's clean as well. Push your pipe that's already flexed up into your pipe. Get your glasses on, looking like Bono from U2. Add your heat with your gun. Get your solder with that hook on the back. Start on the back of the fitting, come around the front, watch it run. And then you add your wet rag to it to cool it down. So that's everything for today, guys. I hope you learned something. I hope you have fun with this. Stay safe. Remember, fire extinguisher. Be very careful. This is a fire. You could set fire to your house. Just be very careful what you do. But remember, enjoy it. Okay, guys? If you give us a like, give us a subscribe, because there's going to be more content coming out in the coming weeks. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.